So earlier this week, I saw a viral video from a former Arizona news anchor named Kari Lake. Here's what she said.
Sadly, journalism has changed a lot since I first stepped into a newsroom. And I'll be honest, I don't like the direction it's going. The media needs more balance in coverage and a wider range of viewpoints represented in every newsroom, at every level, and in each position. In the past few years, I haven't felt proud to be a member of the media. I'm sure there are other journalists out there who feel the same way. I found myself reading news copy that I didn't believe was fully truthful or only told part of the story. And I began to feel that I was contributing to the fear and division in this country by continuing on in this profession. It's been a serious struggle for me, and I no longer want to do this job anymore. So I've decided the time is right to do something else, and I'm leaving Fox 10. There will probably be some hit pieces written about me. Not everyone is dedicated to telling the truth.
Okay.
But thankfully.
So this is Kari Lake. We have her on the phone now, and so we're gonna get the story from her firsthand. Hi, Kari. How are you?
Hi, Glenn. I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me on. I just can't believe that I'm talking to you about this video that I put out. I just wanted to send a message to the viewers.
Yeah. Well,
and let them know where I was going.
I think this went viral because I think people are feeling kind of what you're feeling. They don't trust news. And quite honestly, local news has been more trustworthy in the last few years than it has been the national news. And we need good journalists now more than ever. And I saw this, and I can relate to your pain, and wanted to talk to you about it. And I don't want to bash the station or anybody else. I just want to talk generally what is happening.
What is happening? Wow. Well, I mean, I think we have very biased news. I think we have a lot of one viewpoint represented in newsrooms around the country, whether it be national or local, and very little of another viewpoint. And I guess you could say, right versus left, but I'm even talking, I don't know how to say it. When I first got into a newsroom, I remember it just seemed like there were a lot of different age groups. It's become a very young profession. It's a hard job to run around and be a reporter. Mm-hmm. But I think we're kind of missing different perspectives. Even when it comes to age, we're losing a lot of the older people in journalism. I mean, think about, I don't know how old you are, Glenn. You're a young guy.
No.
I'm in my 50s.
I'm in my 50s as well.
Okay. I feel like I have a little more wisdom than maybe I did even in my 30s or 20s.
Yes.
And I think it's great to have those viewpoints, people who maybe are grandparents or people who grew up in, small towns and have rural experience. It's all becoming kind of the same viewpoints. And I just decided that I couldn't fix it, one person, but I also didn't want to be part of it. And I didn't feel proud about what I was doing. And I'm one of those people that I like to work and I like to feel good about it. And I just hadn't been feeling good about it for a long time.
So let me say this, Kari, and ask your opinion on it. I'm not sure that it is, when you were talking about age and wisdom and experience, I know I want to surround myself with young people, not to the expense of others, but because they have a different viewpoint and they see the world for what with fresh eyes and what it can be. But I also want to work with people who understand and respect the world that was and the world that we have lived through and the experience we have. If we work together, we create something amazing. But I don't think that exists anymore. You're just dismissed.
Yeah, or not even dismissed. You don't even feel you can put your ideas out there to be dismissed. Wow. I've had so many people reach out to me. And you're right, Glenn. I love the young reporters I've worked with. I absolutely love the perspective they bring. I was thinking when I got into my first newsroom how I was kind of the young reporter, and I looked up to so many of these veteran reporters who've been there forever.
Right.
And a lot of them have gotten out of the business. So I'm not trying to bash the young people. I adore them. We have some of the hardest working, great young people in town, and I've been lucky to work with them. But you don't even feel comfortable putting out an idea because people are afraid to talk right now. I just was at an appointment the other day, and it's somebody I've gone to for a while, and I thought he was liberal. I didn't know what his perspective was. We didn't really talk about the news because it's kind of dangerous.
Yes,
and when he
crazy.
found out that I left my job, only then did he reveal, oh my gosh, I'm actually conservative and I'm scared to death. I see clients all day. I'm so afraid to even speak that I might offend somebody. And I thought, wow, this is not just in journalism. This is everywhere. In every industry, people are afraid. And I'm hearing this from the response I've gotten from the video, which has been thousands upon thousands of emails and comments, people telling me they work in, you name the industry, they're feeling this as well.
I can't tell you, we did a deal on the Great Reset and what the banks and the accounting firms are now going through on this ESG reporting, environmental, social justice, and governance score, which is basically Chinese social score, their social credit score. It's really, truly terrifying. And I am getting so many emails and so many calls from people who are CPAs or work in the banking industry that are all saying the same thing. This is coming, and we don't know what to say. We don't know what to do because I'm not for this, but I'm out. You don't stand against this.
Yeah, it's frightening. And so what do we do? That's the question. How do we come together? I think the majority of people feel like what you just described. They're afraid of what's coming. They want to speak out, but they don't know how to do it. Do you lose a job? You have to put food on the table, right? Somehow.
Yeah, right.
And I had to come to grips with that because I was walking away from a nice paycheck. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I've worked in the business for a long time. And the courageous part wasn't putting the video out. The courageous part was coming to grips with, okay, I'm leaving. I have to leave this all behind.
Yeah, when you have 20 years at number one at a local station, that's a big thing to walk away from. And also, I bet you also thought, but I'm also losing my voice. I'm losing the ability, to have this kind of impact. Maybe I can make a difference. Did you go through that as well?
I did. I for a while, I felt like, well, it's better to be in the media, even though I'm not totally proud of it, at least trying to, I always say it's not my sandbox. I'm just playing in it. And every once in a while I try to throw a handful of sand out.
Right.
But, I hate to have voices leave the media that we need, maybe more common sense voices. But also when you just feel like you can't make a difference, then you have to move on. That's where I kind of came to. I thought, well, I just don't feel like I can. It's not worth putting my voice on things I personally don't believe in. Now, other people, Glenn, they might jump into these roles in newsrooms around the country and feel fine reading the stuff that I had a hard time reading and feeling good about.
Did the election play a role in this?
I think two things happened, COVID and the election. But really, it happened back with the election in 2016. I started seeing about how people were covering Donald Trump. And I thought, why do they hate this man so much? Can't we just be fair in how we cover him? Didn't seem that way. And it only grew worse after 2016. I wasn't thrilled with how the election was handled by the media at all. And I remember on election night, actually, when it was called, Arizona was called, I remember thinking, whoa, we still have people voting. How can, and I even spoke out and said a few times election night, wait a minute, I don't think Arizona should have been called because we still have hundreds of thousands, maybe 1 million votes to count. I remember saying that several times on election night. And that kind of bothered me. Obviously, when the votes were counted, it didn't turn out, and that it turned out that Joe Biden took the state. But I didn't feel that calling it that early was the right thing to do, and I voiced that opinion on the air.
So I want to ask you about
COVID also.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say COVID also really, I think, was where it hit me. I felt that what I was reading was kind of fear-mongering. This is my opinion. And we were able to put out, the media was able to put out sound bites and all kinds of information from certain doctors, but not other doctors.
Correct.
Even if they were doctors who weren't treating COVID patients. And then we have doctors who are treating COVID patients, and we can't talk about that. We can't talk about what's working. It almost felt like there was no desire to put out stories that would make people feel better, alleviate some of their fear, or give them options for treatment or things that might help. It felt very much like fear-mongering. I don't want to be a part of that because I live in a neighborhood with elderly people who are afraid to come out of their homes, and I didn't feel good about it.
So when we get into this kind of fear to speak, where are we headed? I mean, there's a story in the New York Times today about how the Germans have just banned the speech and put on a watch list one of their political parties. It's a right-wing they say extremist. I know nothing about this party. It might be a bunch of Nazis. I don't know. But that's the way they're treating them and banning their speech. And putting them on a watch list. And you read the New York Times story today, and it's almost giddy about the idea that you could put a political party on a terror watch list. It's a little frightening that it seems as though we're going in that direction.
Well, we may be. I mean, people are being banned from Twitter and Facebook, and we've seen posts banned. I don't know anything about the story that you just talked about. Maybe this is a modern Nazi group. Who knows?
Right. I don't know either.
Yeah. I'm actually, if you bring up a point, though, the censorship is at a level I never expected to see in this country. And I'm really stunned when I post something or I talk about censorship on social media to see other journalists pop into my feed and make comments supporting censorship. As a journalist, I just don't know how you are okay with that. How do you reason with yourself and say, yeah, censorship is okay? I guess I was
don't
brought
know.
up differently.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in Germany when they banned Mein Kampf, I kind of, I get it. They were Nazis, and there were a lot of Nazis that didn't go to jail in Germany and didn't pay for things, and you wanted to stop that ideology. But we always sold Mein Kampf here in America. I've read it. It is crazy. It is the rantings of a madman. And to me, it makes me question, how did people dismiss this? They knew what he was going to do. How did they dismiss it? And I fear we're just repeating a lot of these things. I can still get Mein Kampf at Amazon. I can still get it at eBay, but I can't get 6 Dr. Seuss books from either of those places today.
I'm still trying to figure the Dr. Seuss thing out. I don't get the problem with it, but I think when you see Dr. Seuss being banned, it's really starting to wake people up, and we're led to believe that we have to remain quiet. Our opinions are wrong. We've been called racist, Nazis, you name it, and I think that we might be in the majority, and we're just being told to be quiet and don't speak up, even if you think it's common sense. Don't speak up, or you're in trouble. I think there's a shift happening, actually, based on what I've been reading from the comments I've gotten, where people are saying, that's it, I'm done. The next time this happens at work, I'm going to say something. I have to. So I don't know. Are you sensing it? And you talk to people all the time, Glenn. I feel like there might be a tiny shift happening where people are fed up enough with being told their traditional values are wrong, their ideas are wrong, their beliefs are wrong, and they're ready to stand up.
Well, I will tell you, this is almost like the last call at a bar. If you don't stand up now, if you remain silent, this is the last probably easy time for you to do it. And I know doing it now seems like a lot. If we would have spoken out earlier, maybe things would have been different. But it's not going to get easier from here. And if people don't stand up in those meetings, in those companies and say, I'm not doing it, you're not teaching me. I'm hoping that, if we had 20% of the teachers stand up and say, we got to go back to school, this is ridiculous, 20% of the teachers, it would make all the difference in the world, but nobody's doing it.